We're sitting here at the Butler, a beautiful venue that's been here for just about 10 years now, hosted by Chef Amber Doig, who we've got on the ANTold podcast to share her story. She offers the best advice for those starting out in the industry, and also leadership skills and everything to do with running a venue for such a long period of time and creating that camaraderie. Listen to it, it's a fantastic episode. What was that like going to New York? What drew you to New York specifically as a whole?
With New York, it was a lifelong dream. If I don't do this, it will become a regret when I'm older.
What would be some advice that if you were to look back at when you first started, you wish you knew after the 9 years now you've been here?
Being able to relate and also reflect on other people's perspectives is important. It was probably one of the biggest lessons for me as well.
Hi, my name's Elijah. I'm the host here at ANTold. We're sitting here at the Butler in Potts Point, Darlinghurst, a beautiful venue that's been here for just about 10 years now, hosted by Chef Amber Doig, who we've got on the ANTold podcast to share her story, to share her experiences and advice for those getting into the industry, which she started at 17 years old. We talk about her passions, which took her from Sydney to New York, working under chefs like Alex Stupak, exploring Mexican cuisine, and coming back to Sydney, working under Vanessa Martin, highlighting Italian cuisine, all to bring that to the Butler and showcase Mexican, Italian, her own Maori cuisine, using produce like Oro King salmon as a way to showcase the beautiful nature of simple produce done well here at the Butler. She offers the best advice for those starting out in the industry, and also leadership skills and everything to do with running a venue for such a long period of time and creating that camaraderie. Listen to it, it's a fantastic episode. One important thing I want to start off. So when I look at your career, Amber, it's very heavily motivated by a passion in culture, whether it be your own or other cultures, right? Mm-hmm. So I know you've got a lot of interest in Mexican cuisine. You learn a lot with Vanessa Martin doing Italian cuisine, and then obviously your own cuisine. Would it Maori cuisine?
I'm Māori, but I definitely draw on the experiences and what we have access to at home. As a homesick New Zealander living in Australia, expat,
So, and I find that interesting, right? So for a lot of chefs, maybe trained in what is typically French cuisine, and when you go to take, finding their own passion of what cuisine or what kind of food draws them into that, which is the soul of your passion, is to find that niche or that cuisine that matters to you most, and letting that express through food.
Because all of our starting points, if we go to the traditional college, is contemporary, French cuisine, the classics, So that's our starting point, our kind of core, and we're so into it because it's It's like, wow, we're just learning these things, And then, it takes time and experience to be able to branch off and inject yourself into it,
So what came first for you? I know growing up in a Māori family back in Christchurch, but when you're growing up, you don't think about it. It's just normal to you. It's not something that you actively know that you're learning about or understanding, because it's your family, it's life, it's just normal. It's only until later when you become a chef and it becomes a career that you really start to hyper-focus on the nuances of that culture that you want to express. But tell us a bit about growing up in that culture, what that was like, and maybe how that began to have a bit more of a profound effect on you wanting to showcase that later. If we can skip the middle part and,
So I'm like multicultural. My father's European, Pākehā, which is European descent, New Zealand settlers, and my mother's family's Māori, so I'm a cross-cultural. Our family is a blended family, but also because we grew up in the big city and in the south, which is different to growing up in the north of New Zealand. It's a lot more European influence down south. But, not that makes a difference. There's a certain amount of disconnection when Māoris went from the rural areas to the cities, and you begin to lose a little bit of your culture a little bit as natural kind of assimilation happens, unfortunately, colonialism and all that. Growing up in a multicultural family was amazing. And whether it's in regards to, I don't know if it influenced my food journey from the beginning, but even my non-chef family, well, my mother's a chef as well, it was all about food. There were competitions, making the best pav, the worst pav, growing up and finding working with people, well, just watching my older cousins and stuff just be so passionate about food and the fun and competitiveness that came with cooking, I think that was a big part of the OG inspiration for sure.
Yeah, I know TJ's running amok around here in the kitchen, making sure everything's
She
good to
definitely
go.
does, yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's nice, hearing about your mum kind of be here because, once again, it's like showing that there's grit in all generations, there's determination in all generations, and having family close is important.
That's
So
right.
it's nice to see that.
Yeah, she's in her 60s, super fit, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going to chuck her on the line and stuff,
I mean, it would be fun.
But yeah,
It would be fun.
It'd be fun, but there's still boundaries. I might be the boss of that kitchen, but am I? You know what I mean? So,
TJ the butler would be fun.
yeah.
That'd be great fun. Have a cook a feast.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be great. So, I mean, look, I only ask these questions because even for myself, like my dad's Maltese background, so, but I spent 10 years completely not even thinking about Maltese food and how to, I mean, you don't often get the chance to cook the kind of food you want to do for a good portion of your career until you become a head chef. So you don't really have many opportunities to do so, but when you do, rediscovering the food that you love with a blend of your culture is kind of a really fun way to do so.
Yeah.
What made you then get into the discovery of learning Italian cuisine or Mexican cuisine? I know you spent time in New York under Alex Stupak, for example, worked at his many kitchens and restaurants. So what made you, first of all, be drawn to him when you got to New York? And then how did that kind of experience shape or define that you loved it so much to continue wanting to showcase that?
Yeah, I think it's a big question, but going back from childhood and family dynamics, I have been drawn to people that are multicultural and have kind of walked on either side of the line, whether like Vanessa Martin, she's Australian Italian, Venetian Italian, so there's that kind of parallel. Alex Stupak is, a white dude from Massachusetts, but his long-term wife is Mexican, and his passion for Mexican cuisine has made him pivot from being the Dark Lord of Taco, into the Dark Lord of Tacos, from being a molecular genius, which he still is, of course. So I think I like people that, like, well, why do I have to be Italian to cook Italian food?
Totally.
Why do I have to be Mexican? Why do I have to be,
Yeah.
And then trying to develop over the years, like, what is Māori cuisine? What like, drawing from the food we grew up eating, and like how do we translate that into our guests on our table? This is a family thing.
Yeah.
Like there's an element of Māori culture. One of the core values, it's called manaakitanga, which is on a small scale just hospitality. Hospitality for your guests, showing kindness, showing generosity is for anyone that walks in your door. So I try to, chefs, that's what we like to do. That's our kind of one of our core values. So having that in a cultural sense and in a professional sense, I think it's aligned well. But yeah, I think the cross-cultural thing is always, I've always liked to play with that.
Manaakitanga?
Manaakitanga.
Manaakitanga.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Like, there's the one thing that, I mean, when my dad's family came here, I mean, Malta doesn't have a lot of these beautiful, rich cultural traditions. They have a lot of food. Like, I mean, Malta is one of the countries that was taken over probably 8 times. They only had independence maybe 50 years ago. They had independence.
Its location was so many influences. But it still stood staunch, and it's.
But it's but that's the beauty of its food.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's so multicultural, from the British, from the Greeks, from the Arabs, like so many people that took over, Romans. So it has such a beautiful cultural mix of cuisine. But in terms of its cultural traditions, it doesn't. I think it's still finding that or rediscovering that. But for the Maori culture, it's still so ingrained, which is such a beautiful thing. I mean, even just recently, didn't you have a get together? I don't know if it's called Mariri or Maori, where you cook for 150 people, family, friends.
Matadiki.
Matadiki.
Yeah, which is like a version of Māori New Year, essentially. Yeah.
And it's like this big kind of gathering, this festival of cooking with family and friends.
Yeah.
That's kind of a beautiful, I guess, essence of hospitality, It's just getting people together and just doing good things and cooking delicious food and being happy, Like, it's a gorgeous thing.
But like you said with Malta, it's not like this is something that's always been their Matadiki, the values of manaakitanga and things like that. But this is us. It's been a work in progress over 100 years,
Totally.
like working cross-culturally and introducing these traditions into modern society. So, you know, I didn't grow up celebrating Matadiki. I knew the concept, but that was about it.
Yeah.
And now, you know, the past 10, 15 years, it's become broad and not mainstream, but something we can share with the world.
Totally.
And like unique, like everyone celebrates Easter or, you know, Hanukkah or, you know, Christmas or whatever. But yeah, this is something that's, Matadiki is unique to us and people of the Pacific. So it's cool that we get to, you know, in the modern days, people can, like, I had no idea that you'd know about Matadiki. It's something you'd think, oh yeah, you know, just something that we know about. But no, that's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. Like you said, once you have a passion for multicultures, you want to explore it. So it's really good. I was in New Zealand for 2 weeks just last November. I was in the North Island. Slept in a little van with my dad in a mattress. And just explored the country. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. How old were you when you went to New York? Because I want to chat about chefs traveling and getting out of their bubble and working. Because I feel like it's one of the best things to do. It's scary. It's actually quite scary when you've never done it. I mean, I know you were 17 when you came to Sydney. Yeah. So you got that itch. You got that fear out of you.
Yeah, well, you know, so the navigator culture, you know. Might not be on a boat anymore, but we still want to, you know, run away and explore the world.
So, but for chefs, it's like you could be in this small bubble of cooking for your whole life, but exploring different countries, even if it's for a couple of months, it doesn't have to be for years, is such a good part of your experience. What was that like going to New York? What drew you to New York specifically as a whole? And how would you encourage other chefs to do so? Like, what are the challenges you faced even?
I think with New York, it was a lifelong dream. I don't know if it was watching Friends when I was a kid or I don't know what it was, whatever it was. The World Trade Center, all these elements of New York City that drew me to it. With my father as well, had books like panoramic views of New York, and it was always really coming from not that Christchurch is a small town, but it's comparative to New York it is. It was always in the back of my mind. And then myself and my partner went there on vacation 2009 maybe 2010, and it was just a massive eye-opener. And that was when I first kind of tried something that was close, even though it's not Mexico, something close to traditional Mexican cuisine. It was like, what are these flavours? What the heck? So and meeting friends from Australia that worked over there as well, it was just really inspiring. So once after vacation happened and this like living beyond your means on holiday, you know, it's not real life, is it? But I was like, oh, I love New York. And then, I came home and it was always kind of in the back of my mind. And then within 5 years, I was like, actually, I think this would be, if I don't do this, it will become a regret when I'm an old lady on my balcony, my cats or whatever.
Yelling at the children.
Sipping on a shardy or whatever it is. I was like, if I don't do this, I will regret it. So I looked through my networks of friends, long-time friends from Australia that were based in NYC, I looked into the possibility of being able to go there and work for a period of time. So,
How long were you there total?
2015, 16. So, it was just over a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Biggest year of my life, but yes.
just briefly, was that process easy to do then? I know you would have to apply for visas and stuff.
I mean, it's a bit more complicated these days, but I applied for a J1 visa, which was like a cultural exchange visa, even though I was like 30 years old. But it was anyone that had a profession in a focused profession, who the company was willing to sponsor. But there's places like Alliance Abroad and different networks across the world that line chefs up with businesses that are looking for expats to come and work in their restaurants or hotels and the like. So between my friends who worked for Impeon and an agency, we linked up so I could go there and work.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's such a fun experience. I remember staging at a restaurant in Malta called Bahia, and I was there for just didn't plan on working there. I just was traveling, and I would just show up to restaurants and be like, "Oh, I've got my shoes and a chef jacket. Can I just work here tomorrow?" And they're like, "Sure," you know. And then they would just give you a prep list. And at this kitchen in Malta, I worked from like 10 a.m. till close one day, 10 a.m. till whatever 6. I was going out for dinner, and they'd give you this prep list. But the kitchen doesn't speak English, you know.
Yeah.
They can. but that's not their primary language, so they speak Maltese, you know? So you're not speaking to anybody for the whole day, and you just head down, you're just learning cool things you've never done before, and it's just such a good experience, you know? It was so fun, it was so fun. And they were so kind.
Yeah.
Like these kitchens, like it might be intimidating or scary to step in somewhere and you're the new guy and you think everyone's out to get you, but it's not always the case. Like these people were just so generous. Anytime I had a question, no matter how busy they were, most of the time, chefs respect passion. However good you are, if you are committed and determined, whether you got low experience or a lot of experience, we always respect your passion.
Yeah.
You know, and we can see that. So
And, being bold and fearless in a way. You know, you're stepping into a place that you're not used to, and with a ton of strangers and, you know, older men, and, you know,
Fully.
being in a new place like that, I'd respect that too.
oh man, it's just an unspoken respect. You know, that if no matter who you are,
Yeah, that's right. You're not going to get physical praise for it. Don't expect a cuddle or anything, but you're going to get the, all right, the kids are there. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking. We got you. You're good.
Acknowledgement.
I don't care if we don't speak English. I can see passion and hard work,
Yeah.
whether we speak different languages or not. So that's good. That's the beauty of kitchens. So we definitely recommend. So jumping back. So did you come to Sydney at 17 and then go to New York after? That's right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So coming back from New York, I know that pretty much leads us straight into the butler. But if we could dive into, I guess, the foundations of what kind of made you go into a leadership role comfortably and who you learned them from. I ask this because, let's say, for example, I learned my OCDness. I know who I learned my OCDness from. It's from a chef named Tom Chimento at Cavo in Wollongong, right? And then I learned really good leadership skills from not only him, but from my first head chef, Johnny, at a cafe. He's a really good mentor. He kept culture important, which I know culture in a kitchen is important.
100%.
So we can dive into that. So I'm curious, maybe the aspects of what got you ready to be a leader, and if you could draw on moments in your career, I guess that would help that.
Yeah.
So whether it be leadership, culture, your cuisine fundamentals. Yeah, I know it's an interesting, complex question, but it might lead us there effectively.
Yeah, I think I've had conversations with chefs in front of house recently, like, oh, you're so chill. Like, I've never worked in a kitchen where I feel like, oh, not on edge, and I'm going to get a knife thrown at me, or a hot pan, watch out for, And I'm like, to me, that is normal, basic human behaviour is like, we're not all sociopaths, and that's why it's some of course. But from my apprenticeship days, and when I was 17, when I first moved to Australia, my first head chef, his name is Chris Mitchell, from a cafe in Rozelle. It was called the Coffee Bean at the time. He was one of my first mentor, and again, chill, calm, patient. Explained things well. When you messed up, it was never it was always, okay, this is the reason why. Like, it was just a normal human interaction. I was lucky that I didn't have the sociopath chef experience in my earlier days, because a lot of chefs get chased out of the industry because of this type of experience. And then moving on from Chris, Vanessa Martin, again, she was from a young owner-operator of a Chef's Hat restaurant at 24, 25 years old. It was just her brother ran front of house, she ran back of house. And when I say back of house, it was herself, a sous chef, and a KP.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So 60-seater terrace in Rozelle.
Fuck.
Homemade everything.
Yeah, nice.
So the experience of working with her so closely, and she was so focused, very focused on creativity and hospitality. The Italian hospitality, the manakitanga from her culture. That gave me a lot of empowerment to kind of support her as much as possible, because my job, I wanted to be the best sous chef possible. Being able to support her, because I see how hard she works and how stressful things are, and having to deal with all the ins and outs of being a business owner. So I'd always want to try and back her up as much as possible. And because she let me do so at such a young age, I think as we expanded and I've dealt with new staff and learned how to train them on a smaller scale, it just slowly grew, I believe. So yeah, from those two influences early in the early days, I think I was set up well for life.
I remember hearing someone came and asked you, how do you focus on making such a good culture? and one of your answers was just play good music.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Playing good music is a good way to diffuse and make people focus and feel good.
Yeah.
And I even, what's some of your favorite go-tos are like Corella, 660 LED.
Oh, yeah.
You got some favorites, huh?
That's it. I'm a New Zealand expat, there's nothing any way I can connect to home if it's not food. It's like, oh yeah, cool, we'll put the next reggae hits on.
The next New Zealand reggae.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. I mean, that would make everyone happy. I don't know why people aren't listening to more New Zealand reggae.
You're not fighting when Bob Marley's on. You know what I mean? So, no, I think I'm lucky, like I love an open kitchen and all that cool kind of, being front facing, but at the same time, it's good to have our little space of peace in the back, where you can focus on your job.
Totally.
But also, chill out some sounds too. So yeah.
Very good. So it was more. I'm curious about that first instincts of working with Chris, right? So did you say the coffee bean roast?
The coffee bean and Roselle, yeah.
Roselle in the inner west. Because I had the same experience. So when I first became an apprentice at 19, that head chef was the same. And I've always wondered, I'm glad you've had a similar experience, because I wondered, had things been different with having a different chef, would I still be here 15 years later? And I think it's right, like you don't think you would, because Johnny was also very patient. Not that he wasn't, not that he couldn't make you feel guilty.
Yeah.
He's very good.
Yeah, guilt and disappointment.
Guilt and disappointment was very...
use that to this day.
It's very good. It's very strong feelings, like a dad, a disappointed dad. You're like, I'm sorry, I'll have to try harder.
Yeah.
But he never was throwing things. No, nothing like that. No, never getting angry or yelling. He would definitely pull you aside and be like, look, like I need you to understand how important this is to me. Like just act as if you're running the business. That was the best advice he ever gave to me. Is like, work as if you're running the business and you'll understand why the decisions are important.
Yeah, pretend it's your money.
Pretend it's your money.
That's right.
And you'll understand. And so I do. I everywhere I work as if I am a business owner. And anytime there is something outside of the scope of my responsibility, I would try to be the first one to figure it out, because that's what a business owner would do. If there's something wrong with the coffee machine, you're like, all right, let's just pull apart everything, see what happens. If I can't figure it out, we'll call someone.
Yeah.
But,
pull out the cartridge, blowing it.
Seriously. And that's the mentality, It's like, it's trying to find a solution.
Troubleshooting, problem solving,
Yeah, I mean, you have to when you're a business owner. You've got to understand everything. Obviously you can't do everything, but you can try.
Yeah.
And that was one of the best advice he ever gave me. So it's really important that you were able to learn from that, but also now become that. Because I know there are a lot of chefs now that are not like that.
Yeah.
Well, won't name names, but there are so many chefs out there that are like that are just angry and think that control and fear is a way to run a restaurant, when it just actually makes you look less in control.
Yeah.
It makes you look like you have absolutely no power in the kitchen, or you have no control of the kitchen, because you're just lashing out.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how they don't see that. Maybe they're so insecure that they feel like they need to be on the attack.
Blinded by ego. Yeah, I think that's can be a big part of it.
It's crazy. I just don't understand how they, like, it's so silly. Like, if I get to the point where I need to, like, yell at you, then you're not doing your job good enough. I've lost control, but also you're not doing your job good enough to warrant you being here. Like, for us to get angry, we would have given you a lot of chances.
Yes.
And at some point I would say, it's just not working out. And if I've needed to have gotten angry at you, I shouldn't get angry at you. It should just be a case of, I don't think this is working, sorry. For us chill people to get really that upset, that's kind of what it needs to be. And it would look better for that to be the professional way than for you to just be a dickhead.
Yeah, most definitely.
Long story short, coming out of New York, coming to the Butler, one of the many Applejack venues that were there, hence having taken over Opera Bar recently, the machine that is the Opera Bar. Was this one of your first head chef jobs, or is there other ones in terms of leadership style?
Yes, so like sous chef with Vanessa.
Yep.
They opened Matadiki Cuisine in Glaysville, which was an Italian food market at the time. And I helped it on a kind of chef de cuisine scale, as in help with the menus and run the kitchen a little bit. So that was probably my first foray. But yeah, I was focused on the restaurant itself, while Vanessa was focused on everything, including take home and all the different elements of the business. So I believe, that was running a small team there and making sure like pasta was being made, and the sections, like there were 3 sections, making sure they had chefs on them and covered. That was my first experience in that. Yeah.
Coming here and taking on this kind of role, did you know what it was that you wanted to explore food-wise. I know the whole leadership, the culture, you kind of figure it out. It doesn't. You have to get to know the people to figure out how that's going to work. But just in terms of the cuisine that you wanted to showcase, at that point in your career, was your heart really set on really showcasing a specific type of cuisine? And before that started to evolve, I guess, over 10 years?
Yeah. I think I didn't know if I knew a specific cuisine. I just knew what I liked.
Yeah.
And I knew what I enjoyed and what made me feel good and others.
Yeah.
And discovering the diversity of Central American and South American flavours was important to me, because it was something we didn't really grow up with on this side of the world. Like Old El Paso, packet, Tuesday tacos was the epitome, you know what I mean? Like,
¿Por qué no los dos?
yeah, that's right. I didn't know what a soft tortilla was until I went to America.
Yeah.
So I think I wanted to be able to have more of that here in Sydney. So I wanted to slowly start to introduce it without scaring people off with too much, like just immediately, okay, I want to do Mexican cuisine. Here's mole poblano, enjoy it. Like, you know, something too complex. So I just... I think it was something I slowly tried to inject.
Totally.
And with jumping on with Applejack, it was my first job interview as soon as I got back from New York. And I just bonded with the owner, Hamish, and Chris Rolls, who interviewed me at the time.
Yeah.
And I felt an immediate connection, and I knew that if I proved myself, there would be trust, and I'd be able to, you know, develop being here at the Butler and being in Potts Point with a new cuisine, or, you know, so we started at a base place, and then over like 9 years I've been here now, we've developed it into something that we're super comfortable. But, you know, our guests have guided us along the way. You know, I've probably done some things that are a bit out the gate and probably not great, you know, but...
Like what?
Oh, God, I don't know.
I know we've all got them.
There's just so many things probably, but there was... Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. I think there was maybe there was a salmon dish on the menu. Like, I love salmon, Order King salmon, but I was like, oh, I miss New York so much. You know, bagel with salmon, cream cheese, that'd be awesome as a crudo plate. So I like put a smear of whipped cream cheese on the plate with some salmon and pickled daikon and things like that. I'm like, oh, this is great, you know. But then what? So people are going to just eat it and scoop it on a thing. You're not giving them anything to go with. Like, in my mind, it was good at the time. Once I played it up for myself, I'm like, this isn't going to work. Like, you know, just having to reflect on. But I think, and that's why you let yourself go to a certain point, but also bring yourself back down to earth and, you know, what your guest is going to sit and eat with on the table.
Man, I think that happens to everybody. I think you go so crazy with ideas, you go, I miss simplicity. And then you go, oh, let's slowly complicate it again. And it's like, oh my God, it's ridiculous. Because I know that now showcasing seafood, in particular, New Zealand produce, is kind of coming back in importance more specifically recently. So whether that be the Order King salmon, black leaf abalone, whitebait. Have you put mutton bird back on the menu?
No way.
No?
I mean, I'd love to, but it's such a delicacy back there. I don't know how I'd look going home with a bucket of mutton birds, bring it back through customs. I don't want to have to explain that. So I think that's probably a too broad thing to try and chuck on the menu so far.
Oh, it could be the next strangest thing you do. You never know, mutton bird, bring it back. Yeah, so I know that's kind of been important in the butler's process of the menu now, the developments of highlighting seafood. Now, the journey of the butler, I'm curious if you could give advice to people running venues, whether it be people transitioning to a head chef role for the first time, who want to have longevity. What would be some advice that if you were to look back at when you first started, you wish you knew after the 9 years now you've been here?
Yeah, I think we were discussing ego before. I think leaving your ego at the door is important. Knowing that every interaction with everyone you work with, whether it be management, directors, front of house, KP, chefs, there's something to learn from everyone. I think once you control your ego so much that you can understand that, I think you can see things from everyone's perspective, whether it be positive or negative. By the way, I'm not saying that I've worked with everything and it's positive. You know, the managers that or reports that I have maybe clashed with a little bit. There's things to learn in that as well. So I think that was pretty important because but maybe that comes with age and experience as well, but being able to relate and also reflect on other people's perspectives is important. That was probably the one of the biggest lessons for me as well.
It's a very interesting, complex structure because the way I used to understand how restaurants worked was three shapes, right? Mm-hmm. Sounds like such a child thing to do. No. But like, let's say a triangle, right? You've got your business owner, whatever. You know, you've got your head chef, broken down simply, and restaurant manager. And then you got, you know, sous chefs, assistant restaurant manager, CDP, all that sort of stuff. And it breaks down.
Yep.
And so you're always taught that, you know, whether the boss or the owner is working there, but if they're not, that the restaurant manager and the head chef kind of making the final call, you know? And then if they're not there, the sous chef or the assistant manager, right? So there's lines of clearance in a restaurant, right? But then when it comes to the restaurant as a whole, you have to like separate them. So the power within the restaurant and then the restaurant itself, the longevity of that works through a circle.
Yeah.
You know, and it has to.
It
has to work in a circle where this has to work in conjunction. For this to work, it needs to understand this, and this part. So this could be the guest. It needs to pay attention to the guest. It needs to pay attention and work with the location that it's in.
Yeah.
It needs to understand the climate. So whether it be the financial climate or whatever it is, and then adapt. So all these things need to work together in a circle. This is not going to work because it's the best and it makes the decision on behalf of these people. That's not how that works.
And it's all fluid and a moving target at the same time.
100%. So it's just always this kind of circular balance of a formula. In order for that to succeed, it has to be respectful of these other things.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting. So when you kind of put them together, because the ego gets in the way of not thinking about the circle of the triangle going, oh, but I've been a chef 15 years.
That's right.
These dishes are fantastic. The customers are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, like if you're not in the area that you were when you were cooking it, these people aren't going to appreciate it.
That's
You
right.
need to understand what they want.
Yeah.
They're here because this is the area they like for a reason. And you need to respect that. So,
And has the demographic changed over the years?
Yeah.
There's so many aspects to take into consideration.
yeah, and that's a part of removing the ego and actually looking at the bigger picture of that, because not many people think about that. I didn't really appreciate that till a lot later in my career either.
Yeah,
Because you're so head down thinking of you getting better, you being the best chef and you being a good leader, that you don't even see the guests for most of your career. You're in a fucking room out the back. For fuck's
right.
sake. You don't even think.
Yeah, we're process driven.
We're
At that point, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, I wonder if chefs spent their entire career just working in open kitchens across from the chef, from an apprentice to how different with their, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they would probably
Having interaction as well.
from the get-go, from being an apprentice. Like, God, they would probably be a better chef in 3 years, 4 years than some of us in 10.
For sure.
Like, because you're that gap before you actually have to understand and listen to the guest is a fundamental shift in your brain.
That's right.
You know?
If you weren't trapped in a corner peeling potatoes and onions and shucking oysters for, a year and a half,
Totally.
how is that stunting your development in a way,
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. It's such an interesting aspect of learning. Coming to now, I'm curious about, you've touched on how you were able to learn leadership. I'm curious about now, so let's say in 2025, with the chefs coming through at the moment, how have you been able to coach, inspire them, being very different to 10 years ago, the way leaderships and kitchens were run? How were you able to inspire them to stay with you, want to learn from you, keep motivated? I'm curious about that because some chefs find that quite tricky.
It is. I am notorious through Applejack for having some of the highest kitchen retention and staff. I've got people that are 5 years plus. Everyone's probably at least over 2 to 3 years. To even my former sous chef, who's just recently moved on, she's opening at the City Fish Market when it opens up, was with me for 7 years. So, that's. Some of it mind boggles me, but there are obviously, I don't want to be like confidence and being humble, you need to balance these things, but I think it is mutual respect. It's following through on what's expected from you as a leader and holding yourself accountable to them as well. And because of the type of chef that maybe we grew up with doing the apprenticeship routes. Like that is, it's not the same routes anymore for people coming up. There's a lot of students going through LCB and these different channels to become chef. You do your degree in commercial cookery, you're a chef. Whereas with us, we did it slowly over time. So it has been a bit of a change, you know, with the new chef, let's say. Not saying that they're not taking anything away from them or from the process we went through, but I just find there's been a lot of young chefs that have been let down, that have been promised things that has never come to fruition, and a lot of disappointment there. So I try my hardest to stand by my team and support them almost to my own detriment sometimes. And I think I learned that from Vanessa and Chris as well. So yeah, but I'm learning over the years to find the balance of that as well. Like not to just, like empathy is important and stuff like that, but you know, there is a line to ride on that. But yeah, my biggest thing is to make sure I follow through with what I promised my chefs. And I hope that they continue in the industry and continue that on, you know. So like seeing a couple of my proteges, you know, I just mentioned Hayley, who's opening a banh mi at the Sydney Fish Market. And one of my other sous chef proteges, Keith D'Souza, who's running Raffi North Sydney. And I go into their environments and see them, you know, working the same processes as me. It makes me very, very proud. So yeah, no, it's cool. I think, I don't know, I think it's it's not a revolutionary act by any means, but just holding yourself accountable and, you know, doing what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, I'm sure you've worked with your head chefs and managers and owners and stuff in the past that don't follow through on you, and it just makes you feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah. I hear that they also enjoy staying because you cook a pretty mean Friday, Saturday staff meal though as well. So
yeah, I do try to keep up that. Family meal was important. I worked in America, you know, family meal was the be all and end all. So when I worked with Stupak, the section I ran took care of family meal, and there's a lot of, you know, expectation from making the best out of the smallest, you know, process. But yeah. But yeah, I also find most problems are solved by food.
Yeah.
You know, so I see a grumbling manager or a grumpy front of house person, I'll just, do you want to try this? And it pretty much just snaps them out of their being grumpy with a guest or whatever, you know. So, yeah.
I mean, look, other little aspects of staff retention and loyalty and a camaraderie, I know are also built through like the little things, you know. So just the paying attention, just to knowing that no matter how hard it gets, you've got their back, you know, and showing that through action, you know. Even during COVID, I know you guys were cooking for Wayside Chapel, you were even cooking for staff, making sure they had something to eat. So they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel looked after, you know, and like you said, it's just through food. It's not a hard thing. It's just cooking a meal is appreciative. Yeah. You know, even if someone just randomly cooked us a meal, I couldn't care how shit it was. It's just the thought sometimes.
Yeah, it's like,
just the thought. You know, that's the action of what you want to do for me is kind. You know?
Yeah, and you always hear the classic non-hospitality person, you know, that might say to you, what's your favourite thing to, you know, cook? Oh, I'd hate to have you over. I don't want to cook for you. I'm like, chefs are the easiest people to cook for, 24/7.
We're just happy to be cooked for. To
be cooked for, anything. If you add seasoning, even better, but, you know.
Yeah. This person wouldn't like me was saying this, but I heard you've been practicing your L's recently.
Oh, my gosh.
You had a pretty good experience in a Tesla in New Zealand.
I did.
Is that correct? How are you going?
Oh, it's not going well. I don't think I've driven since the Tesla.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's a nice way to learn, though. Let's be honest. That's fantastic.
It was pretty. I was definitely pushed into it. I was under duress. As a 42-year-old, don't tell anyone.
That's very exciting, though.
Yeah, I did my. Got my learner's license when I was 15 in New Zealand. Yeah. Moved to Australia at 17, and then it's kind of just plateaued ever since. You know, I've renewed my L's 3 times.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
There's progress.
So much.
It's good. Progress is better than nothing.
Gosh.
That's exciting.
Still a work in progress. I know who you are. I know. Snitch.
He knows who he is. Bloody Keith. All right, so I'm going to finish off with these. It's a little quickfire question here. So ANTold have these beautiful little cards here which have every which way different question.
All right.
I'm just going to give them a shuffle, and you're going to pick, and you're going to a little fire away whichever one you like, and whatever that is.
So I get to ask you, or is it for me?
No, it's for you. Read the question, and And tell us what your thoughts are.
Okay. What's one skill you think everyone should learn? People skills. I think that's the number one for me. Yeah. And it's just through relationships and interactions, just learning people skills.
Yep.
Yeah.
From guests or from
guests,
colleagues?
everyone.
From everybody?
Yeah, that's right. Like that's, yeah. And like you said, from our isolation as a baby chef in the corner, not wanting to get into trouble, I think if we could pick up on that earlier, a bit earlier the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done. Well, one last question. It's a very humorous way to finish.
Okay.
But from all your experience, I'm sure you'd have some great stories. But what would be one of the craziest or funniest times you found yourself most in the shit?
Oh.
If you have a few stories that come to mind, little ones, maybe some brown butter exploding into your shoe, or
Yeah, I think probably one of the most hectic times for me was probably being in New York. Like, I thought, I've been cooking for 12, 15 years. I know what I'm doing, whatever. And then there's a thing called Restaurant Week in New York City, and it's in the quiet times of year, usually around
half price, right?
Everything's half price. All the big restaurants put on $50 prefix menus. Michelin star, everyone does it because there's no one in New York. They want guests. And also it's times when people go on holiday and things like that. So I was at Imperial Casino. One of my station mate was away on leave, so I was covering I had about 3 mains, a fryer, and doing tortillas as well. And we also had to run to 4 blocks away and press tortillas and then carry them back. So that was I got super fit while I was over there. So yeah, there was that. So my station mate was away. I had to run and make tortillas 4 blocks away, carry 8 to 10 kilos of tortillas back, cook family meal, cook 3 mains for the section. Stupak had a amazing, but a 20-course tasting menu on 2 nights, like 2 seatings a night.
Yeah.
So there was all this happening, and I was on a section by myself, and Restaurant Week as well. So yeah, we're all in the shed. The pastry chef Isabel Koss, the legend, she's opened Bar Pasquale in Washington DC at the moment. So she's in her section because there was dessert on hers, of course, as well. So she was doing that, running to me, flipping fresh tortillas, which stick all the time. Scrape the grill, start that again. I'm burning steaks, fish tacos. There was so much happening, but we did make it through in the end, because you always make it through, right? Even those nights in the shit, you make it through.
You're alive.
Yeah, barely. But but yeah, a kitchen, it wasn't a big restaurant. I only sat 50. But when you're doing a 20-course tasting menu, you've got a prefix menu, which is an amazing deal. I wish I got to go dine at Restaurant Week half the time. But yeah, that was probably my most humbling and rewarding experiences. I can say rewarding now. At the time, probably not. So I was probably looking to look up Qantas to come home. But yeah, Restaurant Week. Yeah. That's the one thing that, that now I look back, I'm like, I can say I worked Restaurant Week in New York. I'm proud of that. Yeah, but yeah, that was probably a big one for me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for jumping on, my friend.
Thank you.
This is an absolute pleasure.
Cheers.
Thanks for sharing your story. And it's been really fun.
Yeah,
Really
cool.
fun. All right, rock and roll.